These are live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. My name is Shirley Annan. Statistics from the Ghana National Council of Private Teachers suggest that there are currently over 22,000 registered private schools across the country which employ more than 400,000 workers. Following the decision by the National Teaching Council to stop unlicensed private school teachers from teaching, the Ghana National Council of Private Schools is raising concern that if the Education Ministry insists on the mandatory licensing of private school teachers, it will increase the country's unemployment rate, given that over 80% of private schools teachers in the country have only WASI certificates. In the studio is the Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools, Mr. ENOCH KWASI, to explain the implications of the NTC's intended screening of teachers in private schools. Welcome to the studios of GBC News, Mr. GYETUAH. Thank you very much. Now, under the current directive by the Ministry of Education, if you should sack all your teachers, it means that how are you going to work?
Thank you very much. You know, these directives has been there for almost close to 12 years now. Our education is being governed by principles and, let's say, authorities, and more or less statutes, that is the Educational Acts. So 2008, we had what we called Act 778, that establishes three major regulatory bodies, that being NACA, National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, National Schools Inspectorate Authority, and then National Teaching Council, being responsible to regulate the activities of pre-tertiary education. And NTC, National Teaching Council, is solely responsible for the regulation and setting standards in the teaching aspect at the pre-tertiary level. So 2012, and National Teaching Council realized that implementing that program, or let's say policy, in terms of standardization, teacher professionalism, will even affect the public school teachers, because by then, not all public school teachers have gone through or have gotten the requisite standards that can be seen as a teacher.
So what has changed? Because that was 2008.
Yeah, I'm trying to build a point.
Sure.
So as we speak now, there has been a new regulatory bodies, let's say, act or authority that has come to stay. That is at 1023. Then 1023 saying that teachers who have not been, let's say, licensed cannot go to classroom to teach. And even if you read the Act 1023 section 79, it's criminalizing even a proprietor who will go ahead and employ anyone who has not been given the mandate to, let's say, work. But we are looking at the repercussion, let's say, effects and how this can be solved holistically. In a nutshell, most of the private school teachers, as you read it, are not professional teachers.
Yes.
And they've been contributing to support the work of education in the country. Getting from even the fact of educational assessment platforms, the kind of input that they put are very, very, let's say, welcomed or, let's say, enviable. But we are not saying that they shouldn't be licensed. But looking at its implementation, the kind of the numbers that we have, and the likelihood of teachers that will be sacked, there's a need for us to have a holistic discussion that can support the implementation of the acts, and then find a way so that the private school teachers can still be at post. Those who have the desire to become professional teachers, there can be other avenues that can support them so that they can become professional teachers. Those who don't want to become teachers, then we can show them the exit. By looking at it, the act is very rigid. Though at 1023 section 80 gives a certain room for those who want to become teachers by giving them temporary license and, let's say, provisional license. But ultimately, looking at the number that we have, even if we are supposed to do it within these 2 or 3 years, the time is very short. So what we are asking is that at least the government of Ghana and through the Ministry of Education will have a holistic discussion where all of us will bring on board, and then we can have a congenial understanding to whatever we are going to, or we are facing now. Because asking these people to go home will create a lot of chaotic issues. I'm just building this point based on this recent, let's say, employment window that was opened for this, the military field and all those. We see the number of people who were, in the queue trying to get these, opportunities. So we are just pleading on the part of the government, or the private schools, that government should listen to them, see how best these teachers will be co-opted into the system, and then give them the opportunity time so that they can prepare themselves and move ahead with that.
There's a general consensus out there that teachers in private schools even do better than some teachers in government schools, even though these teachers are not qualified in quotes. You spoke about holistic consensus. How far have you gone with the sector ministry involved to discuss this issue?
Okay, as part of, let's say, stakeholder engagement and then things that we have put before the Ministry of Education, we have engaged the UNIBA, that is the University of Education, to set up a faculty that can look at the private schools issues for us. Because the private schools teachers, as we said, actually, if you look at the standards in education, there are 3 standards: community of practice, professional knowledge, and professional development. If you look at the community of practice, some of the private schools are very good over there. Though they have not been in any institution, professional institution, that can merit them the professional knowledge. But in terms of delivery, they are very good. So we have approached the UEW to come out with a program which we were looking at its implementation September. And we are still joined to get accreditation.
September this year?
Yes, this September.
Okay.
But we are working on it to get accreditation from the National Accreditation Board and other institutions so that all these teachers can be bring on board and then they can go in to get whatever they are looking for. But we need the ministry backing, because where we have gotten into, the UEW alone cannot, let's say, fuel this discussion, or the private schools council alone cannot take this, let's say, authority to say that we are pushing these teachers there. We need the ministry backing and create a sort of an atmosphere and, let's say, a program that has been supported by the government. Some sort of expenses, or let's say, government can take out some of the issues. The number of, the kind of amount the private schools in terms of salaries that they are taking. UEW will not say that you are coming from private school, and for that matter, let us cut let's say, the cost or the cost down. Definitely, it's going to be the same as somebody who is going for tertiary education. But looking at the kind of contribution these teachers are giving to our dear country, contributing over 49% in terms of the educational growth at the pre-tertiary level, government can come in and subsidize for this tuition fee and all this to support the private schools so that they can still be at post. Proprietors also function, also perform their function, and the council also do whatever we are supposed to do. Then it will be more or less like a tripartite agreement where it will support these young ones and teaming numbers, and that's for us to say that we are going to implement it, so therefore they have to be sacked from their duties.
So, if I get you right, you are liaising with the University of Education, Winneba, to maybe upgrade the skills of private school teachers. Besides this university, is there any other place your teachers can go to upgrade their skills? Actually,
when we decided to do the search, we had a discussion with all the universities that are accredited and gave them a proposal. But we see that the UEW is forthcoming. They have given us the program outline. They have decided to run more or less like 18 months diploma sort of basic education certificate for the teachers, so that they can continue from there. Some of the universities are also writing letters and other things to the councils for us to consider. But as we speak now, the advancement has been made by the UEW, and we really appreciate the content that they have provided to us.
We are speaking about pupil teachers. What about those in the nursery and the kindergarten? Are they part of the directive, or they are okay whether they are qualified or not?
You see, if you look at the position of the act, it is previously, before you can call yourself a teacher, somebody will give you that title. The moment the person employs you and give you a classroom to, let's say, instruct, then you call yourself a teacher. But now the act is very clear that you need to get that kind of qualification or title from National Teaching Council. So whoever is instructing in the classroom is affected. But basically, if you look at educational parameters and the kind of structures that we have in our education, our pre-tertiary starts from KG. So the nursery ones and then the let's say creche, which we the private schools starts. That falls with the social welfare department.
Okay.
But they also considered as teachers because they are working with the children. You understand? And most of the national activities that concern teachers, they also take part. So it's very important that they also build themselves, because definitely you cannot have a foundation which is very weak. If the foundation is very weak, the Montessori and all those people are part of what the discussion that we are having now. So it is not like only the GS curricular schools alone, but all the teachers in our country, because you cannot practice if you don't have that license. So assuming if it is the transport aspect, you cannot be a driver whether you are working for a government sector or you are working for a private sector. So long as you want to become a teacher and instruct a people or a children, then there's a need for you to have license.
Now, let's do this final one. Are there sanctions for proprietors of private schools who maybe disregard this directive and still continue to employ these unqualified teachers?
Yeah, that's what I said. If you read the at 1023, section 79, criminalize that. It's very emphatic that a person who knowingly or unknowingly employ any person as a teacher without any certificate that shows that the person is a teacher contravenes the law and is liable for imprisonment not less than 6 months, not more than 12 months, and find some penalties as well. So a proprietor can even go to jail, all because the person has decided to support the country by employing somebody to work for the country.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. ENOCH KWASI.
You're welcome.
We hope that this discussion continues with your Ministry of Education, so that these teachers are...
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming to the studios. We've been speaking to Mr. ENOCH KWASI. He is the Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Teachers on private schools, on licensing of teachers. So in news, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Ekufuado,